I think it's worth mentioning that, Ms. Montgomery, she was the former city director of Blexit, which is a far-right, we're going to try and get, we're going to try and, quote-unquote, free the plantation mentality is a literal quote of the organization of Black voters. And it's founded by Candace Owens, who's a far-right loon. So I just think it's disappointing when C-SPAN, platforms people like Michaelah Montgomery or Sebastian Gorka, or constantly refers to the Washington Examiner or the Washington Times, which are quite literally far-right newspapers that are made up. I mean, the Washington Examiner, go look up who founds them. Next, you're going to be, referring to the Epoch Times. So,
all right, Colin, we'll get a response from Michaelah Montgomery. Go ahead, Michaelah.
First of all, I'm a huge fan of Candace Owens, and I went to my first Blexit event here in Buckhead back in 2019. And the speeches that I heard, the visualizations that were presented to me, I was like, wow, this is great. And when it comes to getting off the Democratic plantation, that's a real thing, and I don't know why somebody would feel like I, myself, would be offended by that. If everybody thinks the same, has been fear-mongered into thinking the same way, living the same way, then yes, that's a plantation, because how in the world were so many slaves who outnumbered their slave masters continuing to be slaves? It happened because they were fearful of doing something different. So when we say that Democrats are on this Democratic plantation, specifically talking about Black people, it's because yes, you guys are all blindly following a leader and you're scared to do something different. Additionally, to think that somebody like myself, who can clearly articulate their points, their opinions, their life experience that have led them to support certain candidates, it's very interesting that somebody would demean C-SPAN for having a guest like me on TV. There's plenty of people who think, act, and wish that a voice like mine had a bigger platform. So it's unfortunate that people like that feel like we should be silenced.
Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you are meeting me for the first time, my name is Clevy, and it is so nice to meet you. You guys, we are back with another video, and you guys remember the last time we checked out the Trump verse rally that was happening at Atlanta, and they brought up a lot of, Black women to come out and speak, all right? And one of those women that was brought up to speak at that rally was Michaelah Montgomery. And oh my God, her speech blew our minds. Like, we were all left with the question, who is she? This and that, what is happening? And then, it brought our minds back to the viral, Chick-fil-A movement that happened between her and Trump. She has been so vocal about her love and support for Trump and the administration. And just seeing this video right now, I'm like, she's going places. We love to see all of this interview, so let's dive right into it.
Let's talk to Ladley in Marietta, Georgia, Democrat. Good morning.
Yes, I did not know that you knew Candace Owens, because she's pretty much been outcasted by the right because of her stances on Israel. But anyway, you will have a good job at Fox News at some point. I guarantee you that. And the things you point out on the Democrats, with their failures, you're absolutely right on some of the things. The Democrats fall short, but at least we try. The Republican policies are just the complete opposite. Okay, the last thing I want to say, they're never going to let you in the club. Okay, and you like the movie Django, you are the character of Samuel L. Jackson. I don't know the exact terminology, but not Uncle Tom, but Uncle Tommy, or you are a complete sellout.
All right, and we'll go to Robert in...
Oh, I can't respond to that?
Oh, yes, you can.
Thank you very much. Because first of all, it sounded like that was a non-Black person telling me that. So as a Democrat, that sounds pretty racial and pretty divisive. Next, it's very interesting that I, again, would be called names or be compared to fictional characters because of who I choose to support. Again, these people who are calling and making these derogatory statements about me, who I choose to support, are denying the fact that, again, who are you to tell me that my personal experience is invalid? I think that that's something that a lot of Democrats need to look within, because how have you tried? Kamala Harris is in office right now and has not tried to do anything about the border, has not tried to not tax people on tips, and has not tried to do anything about our failing education system. So everything that she's promising she can do for you on day one, she could do right now, but she's not trying to. So that's something to, for some Dems to take home.
Let's talk to Sam in Rome, Georgia, Democrat. Hi, Sam.
Okay.
Hi, good morning. And I have a question I want to ask her first, and then if you will indulge me, I do have a comment I'd like to make after I hear her answer to my question.
Sure, go ahead.
Before we get into it, too, remember she did all that complaining about the lack of education, but we also have Republican governor here who had a hand in that as well. So it goes both ways. Anyway, I want to ask her. She touts herself as a smart person, so let's test it. What is the mitigating factor that made the Democratic South turn over to the Republican Party? And I'm waiting for your answer.
What made the Democratic South turn over to the Republican Party?
What is the mitigating?
I don't know what answer you're looking for, and I wouldn't know how to answer that.
Civil
but
rights.
I can say, again, I only speak to my personal experiences, sir. So for people to question my intelligence as if my life is somehow invalid is very interesting to me.
So Sam, go ahead with your point.
Yes,
I
please.
believe you're talking about the Civil Rights Act.
The answer to the question is the Civil Rights Act.
The same Civil Rights Act that was authored by Republicans? Okay.
But can I finish, please? Mm-hmm. Okay. The act that gave you the right to sit in the chair that you're sitting in right now and vote. People in the city that you just moved into 10 years ago died for that cause. There are people still fighting for that same cause as we speak. In America, they were in the southern part of this state to which I live and I love. They caught people trying to fake the electors in this state in the Republican Party.
We also caught illegals with IDs and trying to vote, but I guess we won't acknowledge that.
If you will look at the history, to which I'm sure you claim to know or you do know, the history of your state, you should be aware that people have died for the cause to vote. And now the people that
also died for the cause for us to read.
Hold on, Kayla. Let him finish.
May I finish, if it's okay? Your mother should have taught you a little better than to interrupt.
All right, Sam, just go ahead and finish your point.
Thank you.
Okay. But the people that have died for this cause are still fighting for the same cause. Now, it's okay if you want to be Republican or Democrat, but not these Republicans. They are of a different ilk. They are of a different structure. They are the same structure that left the Democratic Party to come to the now Republican Party. And that's my comment.
All right, Sam. Go ahead, Kayla.
All right, so let's start with the 1964 Civil Rights Act, or the Voting Rights Act, correct? That was all a ploy by Lyndon B. Johnson to get black people to support the Democratic Party for the next 200 years. And unfortunately, the tactic worked because, much like you heard our caller say, they're still fighting for the right to vote. There's not one American citizen without a felony who does not have the right to vote. All you need is an ID and you can go vote. He also didn't acknowledge the fact that while he's saying we had fake electors, we also had fake citizens going to vote in our election. So, of course, I guess we just won't talk about election integrity in that sense. Next, the ploy to get black people to vote for them for the next 200 years was a fear tactic because, again, black people then thought that if they did not vote Democrat, they would lose their right to vote. And even though Ronald Reagan came in and didn't take away black people's right to vote, for whatever reason, Democrats every election season get up and talk voter suppression, protect your right to vote. Black people died for the right to vote. Black people also died for the right to read. So I wish a lot of you would please go read the Willie Lynch letters. I wish a lot of you would go read more about Jim Crow and how, the systems were set up to basically make us believe that we were victims for the rest of our life. So now let's talk about the migrant issue and how it relates to the 1964 Voting Rights Act, correct? The Voting Rights Act was put in place so that black people would be a loyal Democratic voting base. Black people are now leaving the Democratic Party.
Wait. Kayla, you're saying that the only reason the Civil Rights Act was passed was her votes?
No. The major portion of said legislation was the fact that it gave black people the right to vote, right? And Democrats touted the fact that they gave black people the right to vote. They then used fear-mongering to make black people believe that if they did not vote Democrat, they would lose their right to vote and whatever other rights and resources that were granted to them by these Democrats, correct? Now that you see black people leaving the Democratic Party, now that you see black people calling out the Democratic Party, now that you see black people tired of living in the same conditions that they were in when the bill was signed, they no longer have that loyal voting base. So you know what they're doing now? Now they're opening the borders. They're letting these migrants in. They're giving them these welcome packages full of food stamps, housing assistance, whatever else, housing and clothing and whatever else it is maybe that they need in order to come over here and live comfortably. Why? Because now when you have these illegal migrants coming over here and it's clear that the Republicans are like, no, get them out. Now you have a new loyal voting base who's like, oh God, if we don't vote for the Democrats, we're not only going to lose our right to vote, but we're possibly going to lose our our citizenship as well. It's never been a thing where we're going to do this for the betterment of the Black community or the Latino community. It's always been we're going to do this so that we can stay in power, and we're going to manipulate the masses into believing that we are for them. And even though they will continue to vote for us, we will never do anything for them, but we will play on their feelings for stuff that we did 60 years ago.
In Maryland, Democrat. Good morning, Jill.
Yes. First, I'd like to know why she feels she has to smirk, neck roll, eye roll, and insult everybody that calls her, speaking over them. First of all, she is not that knowledgeable. She has not had experiences that other people have not had and not come out bitter and turning on people who helped her. She's like the proverbial crab in a barrel who pulls down any crab above her.
Well,
that's
Jill,
moving
do you have a specific question for Kayla?
Yes. Did she set up the Chick-fil-A Trump event?
Is that the question? The answer to the question is no. I actually just got invited to meet President Trump at a restaurant, and I found out the next morning that it was Chick-fil-A, and nobody that wanted to meet him was offended by the fact that it was a Chick-fil-A, and neither was I. But to go back to the, I don't know why she smirks, why she neck rolls, while she talks over people, it's okay for you guys to get on here and call me an Uncle Tom, to call me not smart, to call me dumb, to say I haven't done my research, to say I haven't lived a life like you. But then if I smirk, if I laugh, oh my God, what is this person talking about? Now all of a sudden you're offended. I think that's very interesting. Next, to say that I'm a crab in a barrel and I'm pulling people down. Actually, how could I be pulling people down if I was in the bottom of the barrel with the rest of you crabs and I decided to crawl out? And now here I am calling out the discrepancies that I've seen in the Democratic Party and asking you, why is the hood still the hood? The hood was the hood when you were a child. The hood is still the hood now that I have a child. That's 3 generations in which the Democrats have done nothing to help you. So it sounds more like you're the crab at the bottom of the barrel trying to keep everybody down there, and I'm the crab that crawled out, and I'm saying, hey, let's get back to the beach.
It beats me whenever I see videos from the popular CNN, and I see that man. You guys remember that barbershop experience, and he called those black males. He called all of them low information votes. Even when the barber himself said, "Oh, he worked for Trump. Trump treated him like king. Respected him, and this and that and that." It was like he still went ahead to call them low information, really. And so that is what I put out to everyone out there. Make sure you are well informed. Make sure you know exactly who you're voting for. You go for the policies that resonate well with you, and for the next few years, because that's what I tell people. You're not just thinking of now. You're thinking of next year. You're thinking of the year after that. All right. And so if you think of that, put all of that into consideration and go out there and vote. We are seated here. We are waited. I know a lot of us already waited for the presidential debate that is coming up sometime in September. I think the first week of September, between President Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris. So we're just waiting for that, and we just want to see exactly. And I feel like that debate is really going to define a whole lot, because we've been waiting for it. The last time, the debate happened with Joe Biden, and it was really an eye opener. And so let's see who is running. Let's see what you have to say. Let's see what you think you would come and do for the American people that you haven't done, in your past 4 years of being a VP. But honestly, you guys, just make sure you are well informed. That's what I really want to say. Shout out to Michaelah Montgomery. You nail, you support. Like, you can see, sis, I support you. Well done. Well done. Keep on doing the good job. Like, every single time I just see a face, a thumbnail, our faces on thumbnails, I'm like, let's go watch that, and you are doing an amazing job.